Voice of Core Contingency, who's back with us today. And, did you want to say something?
No, proceed.
Voice of Core Contingency, who's back with us today. Okay, hold on a sec. Oh, Twitch. Okay, and AI Monster, also joining us today.
Video games, yay!
Video games! And man, we have a lot to talk about in terms of video games. And last but not least, Chocobro. We missed you last time because you were apparently dying from the plague or something.
Yeah, I had a really bad pneumonia. I'm glad to be back. I worked it out.
Good to have you back. So, gentlemen, as always, we'll start the episode by talking about what we've been playing. And I guess maybe, we'll get AI. AI, I'm interested in what you're doing. So why don't you let everyone know, what have you been playing over the past 2 weeks or so?
Well, I was trying to finish up my Uppers Platinum, but I gave up.
What is that game exactly?
That's the one with the panty slots.
Oh, okay, yeah. That would be why we didn't include a video for it, right?
It's a good family game.
Oh, okay, yeah, good family game.
Like I said, it's actually
sure it is
mild on fan service, actually, for a game like that, Marvelous game.
I think what you consider mild and other people consider mild might not be the same thing.
It's like Wings.
But you have been playing Valkyria Chronicles.
Yes, I've been playing that. Very, very enjoyable game. I'm sad I never picked it up. Well, I was going to pick up the PC version of it. This is a PS4 version I'm playing. Mm-hmm. And I just didn't have time, I think, at the time to play it. So I just figured I would wait for the PS4 version to come out. And it did, and I finally got around to playing it.
Is it delivering on all points for you?
Yes, it definitely delivers on all points. It's stellar in pretty much every aspect. I mean...
Yeah, it's a phenomenal game. I remember I played it back on the PS3. It's one of the few games I actually did play on the PS3, and I got the remastered one. And so I imagine you're having a great time with the remastered.
It did really well on that PC re-release. Was last year or the year before? People really had a lot of good things to say about a game that was pretty old, I guess, a couple years old, right? A few years old.
Yeah, 2007-ish or something, 2008 maybe.
So that's good. So, recommendation from both of you guys on Valkyria Chronicles. Yeah,
definitely. It's the story is phenomenal. The actual fighting is kind of turn-based, strategy-like. Very enjoyable game.
Very good. Well, there's this.
It's got a really unique combat system. Like it's turn-based, but when you move around, it's kind of real time. So. And as you move, that's actions taken in the world and so on. And I guess it's kind of like Super Hot.
Is it like Super Hot?
Yeah, in that aspect. But when you actually go to aim down your sights, it freezes time, so you can take your time, line up shots. It's not an action game. It's definitely a strategy game.
Right. It's almost like a tactics feel kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's got that turn-based and you move.
Yeah, I would say XCOM meets Super Hot.
XCOM, yeah.
Drive your tank straight at him so you can hit him with your sword kind of game.
All right. Valkyria Chronicles, then. That's a good one. So, there's this game that everyone's been really looking forward to, and we brought it up on the last podcast, and it has become the talk of the internet over the past week or so. And, Corey, you've actually got your hands on good old No Man's Sky, right?
I did. I've been waiting for this one for quite a while now, ever since, we first... started to see early footage when it was still an indie title, and it released this week. It came out for the PS4 earlier in the week, and then on Friday it came out on the PC, and it's something.
It sure is something. Now, I have a question. I've heard a lot about it, and mostly kind of negative things, but does it feel like an indie game? I mean, does it feel like a $60 game? From your perspective?
I'm going to weigh in on this. I have about 12 hours into the game right now, and I feel like I paid $60 for an early access title. That's kind of where I'm sitting at the moment.
All right.
There's definitely potential here. It needs a substantial amount of work. especially on like some of the combat systems. And Hello Games has come out and said like they're committed to supporting the game. They're going to expand it. They're going to be adding features to it. So I think we're looking at kind of like a Minecraft story here. Like the game we're playing now is not the game we're going to be playing in like a year or two. It's going to be grown and expanded and something very different probably.
I don't know what it is, man. I mean, I'm not big into usually adopting things in early access, but I felt like from everything I've heard, and I've watched a number of streams on this game, detailing different impressions and issues and things like that, which I'm sure you'll get into in a minute. That people don't actually really think that this game should be like that. Like it should have finished in a more complete kind of state, based on sort of the hype. Although maybe we blame ourselves for the hype. I mean, I feel like who wants to see this game in a year from now when it's completely different than kind of what we see now about it? I don't get that.
Yeah,
You have to explain that to me because
it's such a polarizing game. I mean, so you've got people looking at this game. You can fly around in space. You can come down on the planets. There's exploration. There's survival elements. But I don't know. It's you have to look at this game like as the sum of all its parts, and it doesn't make a good game right now. And I would say yes. Like I enjoy playing it. It's something I'm going to be playing nonstop for the next like 3 or 4 months. No, probably not. It's going to be something that when I'm just in the mood to sit down and game for a bit, I want to play something relaxing or and relatively stress free, not competitive. It's going to be that game.
it's one thing too that I've heard quite a bit, which to me is both a positive and a negative. Now, people have wanted base building to be involved in this game, and yet I feel like the game developers designed a game where you're supposed to move from planet to planet, exploring, surviving, etc., and not really stay in one place or go back to where you came from. You're supposed to keep essentially moving forward, right, to the center of the universe, something like that.
Yeah, the center of the galaxy, the universe, whatever they're trying to
So
call
what's
it.
the pitch on bases? Because I don't understand why. Is that like them responding to what the people want and just giving to them, or is it something that they really had planned? Like, what feeling do you get about that when you play this game?
I don't see the point at the moment of base construction. Like there's no mechanisms or anything in there that make it it's something advantageous to have. Because like you said, you are kind of on this path towards the center of the universe, and you're jumping from star system to star system, and collecting resources and refueling yourself, so you can continue this journey basically. There would be no point in staking a claim somewhere other than I guess some people are feeling that this is a tree puncher game. It's a Minecraft or Terraria type game, except you can't build anything right now.
Yeah, so there's no point in having a home base because you're never really going to return to it.
And like it would require a lot of other mechanics to even give it a purpose. Like maybe you'd have to start including like factions and politics systems to have a reason to put down a base. You may have to defend it from something or need it to produce something to go fight a war. I mean, I don't see right now what advantage there would be to being able to build bases. So it's something that Hello Games says they're going to do. They're going to put it into the game at some point. But there's, like I said, there needs to be some other systems in there to make it reasonable. Why, like, I wouldn't even want to build a base right now. There'd be no point.
And you waited for the PC release of this game, right? Which had some issues, from what I understand.
Yeah, it's not going to do well on the PC reviews, unfortunately, for its launch. Has a lot of stability and a lot of performance issues, and what we're seeing is actually kind of a symptom of people not upgrading their processors for a long time. So I mean, people out there running like 4 or 5 year old like i26, i2700K processors, from the Sandy Bridge line, they're struggling. They just don't have the CPU to handle this game properly. They might be throwing a 1080 GTX at it or a 980 Ti, and if you don't have the CPU to back it up, you're going to have major frame rate issues.
Right. I mean, even the streamers that I was watching, like Total Biscuit, I mean, he's got a 1080 in his PC, and he was having some huge stuttering problems on his gaming rig.
So
just
I can
unprecedented stuff.
I can only say what I'm seeing. I went into the game, set my resolution up for 2560 by 1440 in borderless window mode, enabled G-Sync borderless window mode, and turned off VSync and basically set all my graphics options up. And for the most part, my frame rate is fine. What I'm getting is hitching, basically. Some stuttering, basically, and massive like frame rate drops momentarily, and then everything's fine for the most part.
I mean, to me though, that's still entirely their fault. I mean, they advertised the required specs as a Core i3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not even like recent.
And you know, a lot of the issues people were having for the initial like Steam release were patched, you know, and fixed within a few hours. So I mean, that's to Hello Games' credit too. They were able to address the issue and fix it quickly.
So overall, you like the game?
I enjoy it. I don't know if I'd have paid $60 for it if I had played it previously, but that's just what it is. You know, I've put enough time into it where a Steam refund is not an option, and I wouldn't go that route at this point anyway. Like I said, I'm enjoying the game.
I feel like this game suffered from really massive scope creep.
Yeah,
creep or whatever you want to
yeah,
call
a little
it.
feature creep. Yeah.
I don't think it had scope creep at all.
And then it just like.
But there's still
they
features
forgot to-
people want.
I think they just forgot to like put a lot of the game elements into the game.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. I feel like they spent like 90% of their effort on the procedural generation.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to say forgot, but they probably hit like some kind of deadlines where they didn't actually get to implement the game that they wanted on top of that procedural generation tool.
I don't know. I think your opinion is valid, but I don't think it's correct. I think this is the game that they had, you know, originally set out to create. You know, they weren't trying to create some epic like sci-fi saga, you know, scripted storyline type thing. They wanted a freeform exploration, you know, kind of journey to the center of the universe game, and they've delivered it. I mean, you can't say otherwise.
Yeah, it just seems like people aren't really satisfied with just that being the game loop here.
No, and I think what really happened was the game generated so much hype within like the people who wanted to play it. It wasn't really Hello Games that created all this hype and expectations, and you know, quite contrary, their lack of information only fueled like this general hype.
Yeah, I'm trying to think to myself whether or not like them pairing up with Sony and letting Sony sort of do like the mild marketing on this was a really good idea for a studio that is. I mean, it's an indie studio. I mean, they've got like 15 people max working on this game.
Yeah, I think of all things, the console release probably hurt them the most. This game should have gone onto Steam as an early access title.
Yeah.
You know, if it had hit Steam in early access in its state right now, people would have been a lot more forgiving. They would have given constructive feedback on, you know, direction to take the game, and you wouldn't have a bunch of disenfranchised people who are now sitting there going, "I just dropped $60 for a tree puncher."
Right.
Yeah, I also feel like for $60, the game's doesn't quite live up to the $60 price tag.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like a AAA game from the looks of it, but it seems like just devoid of life sometimes. I mean, I watch videos of it. There's not a lot going on.
It's a mixed bag. I mean, like you've got this massive galaxy or universe, whatever. You know, I don't think they've ever defined, you know, exactly what you exist in here, but you know, it's so massive, and there's such varying, you know, terrain, you know, generation tools going on here that, yeah, you might come to a planet and it's just like a barren rock, and it's got, you know, the same trees you might have seen, or like, you know, 2 or 3 other planets, but every now and then you come across something absolutely spectacular, where you're just in awe as you're walking around and looking at this biome that was, you know, just randomly created.
And there is some combat too that, from what I gather, is not the most polished thing either.
No, it's not. So the combat, basically, you've got your multi-tool, and there's a couple like attachments you can put on your multi-tool, like for offense. You know, and that's basically the first-person element. It's basically like a little, like, you know, beam laser bolt caster, and then you've got some grenades. And as far as your ship goes, it has, you know, 2 like beam lasers, and then it's got this kind of like energy cannon that's utterly worthless. The energy cannon is stupid. If you're using that, you're doing bad. You will die if you try to use
I would think if it's called an energy cannon, it would be awesome. But
yeah, no, it's the projectile velocity is extremely low on it, and there's a substantial amount of auto aim in the space combat. But even then, like the angles you're having to like lead to the other, you know, ships you're trying to kill is just drastic to the extreme. Whereas the beam is hit scan basically, and it has auto aim, and it does more damage by far.
That's a preferred weapon then.
Yeah, definitely. You just have to learn to kind of pulse it. If you hold down the beam, it'll overheat itself in like under a second. But there's a weird mechanic in the game right now that people are kind of exploiting. We're not really sure if they intended this or if this is just a bug. But you know, the weapons pretty much can fire forever, they just overheat. So what people have found is if you just click your mouse really fast, or if you have a gamepad, you're just hitting the button really fast, it doesn't trigger that heat generation system properly, so you can fire the weapon far longer than you should be able to.
So my last question is this. Now, everywhere on the internet, including the subreddit, people are talking about how this game's going to be amazing once it has mod support, as if we're all assuming that it's going to get mod support at some point, like, oh, Hello Games has it in the pipe. Now, I've heard nothing from the developer about there being mod support, and based on the fact that Sony's publishing this game on a PlayStation, I can't imagine that it ever will, and I feel like people are kind of doing the whole hype thing again with this game, like, oh, it's going to be amazing in a year when it's got mods and stuff. Is that true? Number one, it would be amazing if it has mods, and two, do you think it's likely that it ever will get them?
I think it's safe to say that mod support generally is a improvement for any game. Like, not you look at two similar games, the one with mod support is always going to do far better. The community, there's a large community behind this game that I'm sure could create some truly spectacular mods for it. I think there's some technical issues that need to be worked out because the way that this universe is created, basically, it's not a multiplayer game, and they're very, very clear to say that, but there is the potential, albeit very, very slim chance of this happening, where two players could end up in the same, star system and have the potential to interact with each other.
Well,
so the game has to be built in such a way where, if one's got a modded system where they built stations and whatnot, how does the other person see that?
Wait a minute. Let's just talk about that for a second.
Sure.
Yeah.
So people have looked through the data on the game and everything, and tracked the data sending out the servers, and they found that there actually is no multiplayer in the game at all. Just the discoveries, they'll show up as discovered by other people. That's it. That's the only data it sends to servers, apparently. There's no multiplayer interaction in the game at all. People have tried to been in the same planet, same solar system and everything, same area, and they don't see each other. So there's actually no multiplayer.
That's an interesting discovery. I mean, and we've already seen a situation where there were a couple of people on the PlayStation 4 version that figured out they were in the same general vicinity of each other, and they and this was all on Twitch, I believe. They arranged a meetup on this planet and managed to both get themselves to the same spot, and they could not see each other. They couldn't do any mutual interactions. Any changes in the environment that they made were not replicated on the other person's machine, and that led to some questions of, is there multiplayer in this at all? And Hello Games came out and said, yes, it is. This should have worked, but the servers are overloaded. So we're getting two different stories here.
Yeah.
Well,
because
certainly
it's very possible.
People have done the data and everything, and they've seen that there's really nothing being sent out besides the discoveries, and it seems like that if there is multiplayer in the game, it's not turned on. And they actually had an issue with the retail packaging. It had an online player icon. They had to remove that. I know they come out and said there's.
It's not even that they removed it. They just put a sticker over it.
Yeah, it was basically obfuscated on the packaging.
I feel like I'm not sure Hello Games really knew what they were getting into when they signed up for this whole Sony thing at this point. They clearly have an idea of what they want for a game. However, this game to me seems like a game that should have come out on PC only. Should have been like a Minecraft thing where you have different servers that run different mod packs, so that you don't have the issue of you not being able to see other buildings that people are constructing on the mod pack, yada yada yada. And it would have been very successful as an add-on to the survival genre now, with additional exploration options and maybe a more maybe emphasizing or encouraging more team up stuff than DayZ does or Rust does or other games in that in that particular sphere. But they went with this.
It's like I mentioned earlier. It's a game that you're correct. It should not have come out on consoles simultaneously with PC. It should have gone into like an early access, a kind of extended development cycle with a lot amount of user feedback. Once you've launched a console game, it's very, very difficult to change the core game at that point.
I mean, if they decide that they're going to stick with PC development for this game, it's going to have to take a completely different route than the console version is. And we all know how people feel about that when they have something and then they see another version is better than the one that they bought. I mean, we've seen that with how Bethesda's rolling out the mods for Fallout. PlayStation users don't have them yet, and they're like, oh, well, this, that, and the other thing, and console gamers wanting their mods because they were promised it, and yada, yada, yada. But it doesn't seem like these things that mods are gonna come to PS4 if they come at all for this game. And then really, how much is it gonna evolve past what the developer sort of views the game as? I mean, a game that at its core is about exploring and sort of constructing your own universe is going to be very limited to only what the vision of the developers is giving you. And I feel like this game is more vast than that, and it deserves to be given a better treatment than it currently can have because it's locked down into a console.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, the main issue it has is it is a vast game, but with very minimal gameplay elements to it. And you know, hopefully it evolves and develops over time. But right now,
we're gonna watch it.
It's very hard to recommend as a $60 purchase.
I mean, we're certainly going to watch it. It's probably the most anticipated game of this year, and I think that's probably an understatement.
And it's done well. You know,
the game looks
like
beautifully polished.
45% more people playing it on launch day than any launch day title on Steam this year. There was something like 250,000 people playing it simultaneously, and that's pretty good considering, like, you know, Dota 2 gets what, like 400,000.
I mean, that nails the anticipation level of this game, and
yep.
And that's split across two consoles, and we're only looking at Steam.
I've heard that it has set record return rates on Steam also. So it is
not surprised.
A very, very polarizing game. You're gonna like it, or you're gonna hate it. Basically, doesn't seem like there's any in between. And if you go look on, you know, Metacritic user reviews, that's exactly what you see. People love it. People flipping hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is the first really, really big release that allowed for when Steam refunds were active. So I think that's why we're seeing so many Steam refunds for this and so many people playing at a peak.
Yeah, I think the only other game that received more was the last Batman game that came on PC.
No, I'm pretty sure this one beat it out.
Oh, I know, it's probably beat it, but yeah, I mean, people drop $60 on an early access game. I mean, that's the best I can say right now. It's a good early access game,
but it's when you buy an early access game, you know exactly what you're getting into. Right. This game, people may not have known exactly what they were getting into. They just knew it's exploration and survival. In fact, there was only a one-sentence description on the Steam store to even describe this game. You know, and that's what it was: explore, survive, make it to the center of the universe. Like, very simple. But doesn't seem like it's enough for people out there right now.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I hope that Hello Games patches some of the nag things that we have issues with right now. Like, there's some control issues. Anytime you enter into like dialogue with, you know, an NPC character, or you use like a trade terminal or something, it makes you wait like 15 to 20 seconds. It does like this little cutscene of you interacting with the guy. You're just like, I just want to freaking buy some shit. Let me do it. You know, or if there's another one where you get like a new discovery, or you land on a planet for the first time. It goes into this like letterbox kind of scenic mode, but like, you know, when you jump out of your ship for the first time on a planet, you don't know what you're getting into. You don't know if that planet has like lethal like levels of radiation and heat where you're gonna die like quick, if you know. So sometimes you'll jump out of your ship and all of a sudden you look down and you'll see, oh, holy crap, it's 500 degrees centigrade here and it's radioactive, and all of a sudden it goes into this nice letterbox mode and you're like, I want to get back on my ship and go, and you're dying while this scene's going on. So I'm hoping they fix that one soon.
I think if nothing else, it's given us a game to watch for a long, long time. Maybe just based on the hype that was built up for it prior. But yeah, I definitely want to know more about this game as it goes through its development and see how it improves and things of that nature, because it's definitely piquing my interest. Maybe when it goes down to $20, I'll think about picking it up.
Yeah, we'll see. I've got it. I'll be playing it, and
keep us posted.
Keep you guys
I want to know
what the updates we get.
Make a YouTube series. We'll put some clips on the podcast here for you.
Could do that.
So,
or start using Beam.
Or start using Beam, which we will talk about. So the last two podcasts I have been describing my adventures in the Fallout 4 survival mode, and I got to tell you, I have the bug. I am addicted. I play this game way too much. I should be studying for my licensing exam, and I do that a fair amount. And then the moment that I feel like I've absorbed my knowledge for the day, I jump back into the Commonwealth. And I think the progression for the past couple of episodes has been like level 8 or 10. Last time I was about level 20 something, and now I'm level 51. approaching 52, and I've got my character build up nice for sniping and up close combat with a pistol. And it has still not fallen short on any level for me. It is fantastic, and I'm still highly recommending it. I love the way that it makes you walk everywhere. I know that's like one of the things everyone was disliking about it, but without that, it wouldn't be survival mode. It just would not. And the game has gotten harder as you get up in levels. Bethesda starts throwing different things at you, like level 20, the Death Claws, level 40. You start to see some more armored raiders. Now I'm fighting like guys in power armor. So it's definitely gotten tougher, and I'm still enjoying every single minute of it. Probably should have done a YouTube series on it, honestly, because just been so damn into it. But hit me up on Steam if you guys, want to know more about it. I think I've talked a lot about it the past couple episodes.
There was one thing I wanted to ask you. So,
Yeah.
like, do the enemies and the NPCs, do they still like cheat? Do they still basically have like unlimited ammunition in survival mode?
I think so. Yeah, I think they still do. Yeah, I mean, the thing with it is, I wouldn't. It's hard to really know the answer for sure, but I would say yes, only because I can't know otherwise. Because the way that my character is built, my advantage is to basically not let them fire bullets, and when they do, I have to dispatch them very, very quickly. And so there's a lot more like companion movement and stuff like that, and trying to use my companions as tanks. I usually have my companions in power armor actually, and I'm not in power armor because the power armor doesn't need fusion cores when it's being used by a companion,
Right, an NPC, yeah.
which is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something that came to mind. I was thinking about how, even on like the harder difficulty levels in Fallout, it's already like stacked against you because an enemy might have a freaking automatic like laser rifle, and they're just sitting there blazing away with this thing for 5 minutes, while you're behind cover or something, and then you go kill them, and they've got.
I think
like,
there
3
might be an
cells
exception.
on them.
There may be an exception in heavy guns because when I fought enemies that have missiles, I usually assume they're going to fire about 4 rounds. And then they usually do, and I've found NPCs after I defeat them that only have like 1 or 2 missiles on them, and I think to myself, oh, they probably only had 4 or 5. I don't think they have unlimited ammo with things like missile launchers or the Fat Man or things like that. But I could be completely wrong on that.
You're complaining about something that exists in every game, cheating AI?
I'm just curious, man.
And the AI always has different rules than the player.
Sure.
I mean, I've noticed that as you go up higher level, enemies certainly have different guns too, and they will switch between them just like your companions do. So I might be far away and they're trying to shoot me with a hunting rifle, but once that super mutant gets in close, he'll switch to his board or super sledge or whatever he's got in his inventory, and he'll try to hit me with that. I'm not sure if I noticed that on the previous modes outside of survival. But yeah, Fallout 4 survival mode, still doing that. I also finished Limbo. I was playing that last time. I said I was going to finish it up, and I did. I was actually saved right before the last puzzle, which I figured out in about 6 minutes, and then the game was over. Really, really good game. Really good game. Thinking about picking up Inside, which was made by the same guys. Just probably going to wait for a Steam sale for that to happen before I take the dive on that one, or the plunge on that one. And that's pretty much it. That's what I've been playing. Love me some Fallout. Too bad we're not going to get Elder Scrolls 6 anytime soon. But a big shout out though for that. In regard to that, there was another big mod released for Skyrim, kind of similar to Falscar, which was a few years ago. It was a fan made expansion DLC. There is a new one called Enderal, and if you're into Skyrim and you want to have some additional adventure, this thing's promising. I think 40 to 60 hours or something like that of additional gameplay in Skyrim. So clearly they've put a lot of years into it. So go check that out if you guys are still playing Skyrim. Speaking of games that get mod support and run for years on PC,
Yeah,
definitely Skyrim is one of them.
If you like an Elder Scrolls, that you're going to be on Skyrim for quite a while here.
You'll literally be playing Skyrim until the very next Elder Scrolls comes about, and that is. That's just an amazing feat, I think, that Bethesda has with their mod support included and everything. Like, people have really taken that game to the next level and shown you that games with mod support, they survive. They can survive for a really long time.
Yes, they do.
Oh, but I've talked enough. Chocobro, when you were sick, what the hell were you playing?
I was playing mostly Final Fantasy 12.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, I love it now.
You love it now. You didn't? Did you like it then?
No, when
Okay.
I think anybody knows me. When it first came out, I hated this game with a passion, Not because I thought the game was bad, because I thought it was a bad Final Fantasy, and this was kind of like the first release that, in a sense, betrayed the series.
I'm with you on that one, yeah.
And then, 13 came out, and I'll take 12 any day. I'll take an infinite stream of 12s over 13.
I feel it's just like you did about it.
But it's been on my list. Like the remaster's coming out. I've been kind of wanting to do some research into this game and some of its mechanics, and I decided, you know what? I'm literally sitting around staring at the wall because I can't sleep. I'm gonna boot up, the International Zodiac Edition, which I never played. I guess the first remaster,
right?
And I basically blazed through the whole game and had a great time.
Great.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the remaster now, even though it's basically the same content.
Right, and this is coming on PC pretty soon, right?
There's no PC announcement for it, I believe, but they've been releasing all of their titles on PC.
Yeah, I was going to say it would be a good bet that they will.
Yeah, I am 99% confident. Sometime within a year after the PS4 release, we're going to see it on Steam. And out of all the FF games, this was the one that really needed a remaster the most, in my opinion. Graphically, it pushed the boundaries of the PS2 to the brink, and they actually had really high quality assets for this that you can see in some of the the remastered trailers. It looks amazing, or if anybody's ever played it on emulator, you can make this game look really amazing.
Yeah, yes you can. It looks really, really good.
So that's what I've been doing, just kind of revisiting what at this point is a classic, I guess.
Yeah, I mean it's PS2. I mean late era PS2, but yeah, I mean you're right. It did push the boundaries of what that console could do, especially the Gambit system. Just all that processing going on it over and over and over again was really, really interesting to see on a PS2.
Yeah, I literally have it revisiting it impressed me a lot in the same way that Xenoblade Chronicles X does. Because, as a game dev, I'm sitting there, dissecting it in my brain, how the hell did they get this stuff to work with, these limitations?
Yeah. Well, they pulled it off, and, I think it's a very polarizing Final Fantasy, just kind of like 13 was, where people love it, or people kind of were like, eh. They had too many MMO elements, too much farming, too much grinding, because it was a sidestep for the series.
It was, but the difference is the people who like 13 are wrong.
Okay, I'll give you that. Because I agree with you. They're all crazy people.
I like 13.
You're a crazy person.
And you're wrong.
You are a crazy person. It's
right.
already been established that you are a crazy person.
I like 13 too better than 13.
You are a crazy person.
I mean, everybody liked 13 too better than 13.
Yeah. That means they played 13 too and 13, so. They were like, this game is terrible. I'm going to buy the sequel to this game and hope that it's not as terrible. Oh, it wasn't. Cool. I guess I'll buy the third one, which was even
I didn't
worse.
buy the third one. I didn't buy the third one.
Which turned out to be terrible again. It's damn it, we got tricked.
And so Square Enix has illustrated that they know how to create a perfect bell curve of games in a trilogy. Oh, that's good.
I
12.
think that's the takeaway.
Yeah. All right. So that's an interesting smattering of games we've been playing. Some Valkyria Chronicles, No Man's Sky, some Fallout, some Final Fantasy 12. Interesting. A lot of RPG stuff elements in there, right? A lot of level up stuff.
Love the RPGs.
Yeah, we do love the RPGs. So you guys ready to talk about some news? Because we've got some news. And
it was looking like it was going to be a slow news cycle there, but things kind of got a little lively.
Certainly more interesting than the last cycle, that's for sure. So let's start right off with putting a little bit of the PlayStation stuff for E3 up on here on the stream. But so recently, Vice Gaming, which for those who may not follow what goes on with gaming journalism, like I do, Austin Walker, formerly of Giant Bomb, had left Giant Bomb to establish Vice Gaming. And Patrick Klepek of Kotaku has recently joined him. So they've got quite a duo over there now to deliver you news. And they recently broke the story that Sony is going to reveal the PS4 upgrade in September, on the 7th of September, at their some kind of New York gaming conference of some kind. So this is really great because this is actually sooner than we thought we might hear anything about the PS4 Neo, as it's being called out there. So What are you guys anticipating here? What are we going to actually hear and see about the console at this particular reveal?
Well, we did know that they were shooting for a 2016 release date, so we were supposed to get a Neo this year, but it doesn't look like they're going to hit that because it's being revealed so late. They don't want it to coincide with PSVR, even though, by all accounts, this system is made for PlayStation VR, but Sony doesn't seem to want to make that equivalency.
Well, there's a good reason for that, though. I think that leaves a lot of room for consumer confusion. If you release these two things simultaneously, everyone might think that you need this system to run the VR, because people think very simply. So I can kind of get where they're coming from, wanting to, put a little bit of separation, in between the launches. And I think it was clever of Sony not to tell us when this is coming out anyway.
No, that's why it's Sony's best interest. They want people to keep buying PS4s during the interim here.
Yep. I also think it was a good strategic move on their part because delaying the announcement, the official kind of announcement specs release so long, has given them the ability, if the rumors are true, to kind of bump the specs because they never committed to anything in the first place.
Yeah, so they let Microsoft play their hand just like they let them do a couple years ago.
And play
then one up
Microsoft did. They came out and basically said, "Oh, fuck, our specs are way better than the Neo."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, the
Neo,
presumed specs for the Neo, right? Because not even they knew.
Yeah, the presumed specs for Neo were kind of the ones that we heard. They were kind of mid. The CPU wasn't really being upgraded much at all.
No, it was
the GPU. Yeah,
basically them adopting the AMD's Polaris architecture as the GPU,
which is great, and you would be a significant performance boost. But if without the CPU, I don't think it would have made a difference in the long run. And I'm hoping that they do increase the specs to people are throwing around the word teraflops now. I don't think that has any real meaning.
Yeah,
somebody wants it to.
Got to measure performance across various platforms.
Somebody's trying to change what the standard language is for video gamers to sort of understand what performance is in terms of video quality and stuff like that. And that's just kind of the equivalent of it right now. Not that anyone knows what it means, but if it's got 11, that's better than 10, right? So.
Well, I mean, it's just floating point operations per second, but
Correct.
They did a similar thing with CPUs back in the '90s, and that failed for the same reasons. Simply because it actually isn't a good performance indicator. It's like, yeah, this objectively might have double the flops of this one, but that doesn't equate to double the performance.
Well, it works well for like gaming systems basically, because a lot of your graphics basically are floating point operations. So.
It's true, but it doesn't give the, and this is what a lot of like benchmarks and stuff move to. It doesn't give an overall view because if you have say like something large like 10 teraflops, at that point like memory bandwidth becomes way more important. You need other pieces of the system that can even push to that limit to begin with.
Yeah, but you see, this is exactly what I was describing with why they shouldn't do a simultaneous release, because the typical gamer doesn't care about this. You know what you could do? You could come up with a system called like pretties, okay? Say, well, right now the PlayStation 3 has 3 pretties, and the PlayStation 4 has 4 pretties, and this one's going to have somewhere between 4.5 and 4.8 pretties, okay? And you want to have more pretties, right? Because it looks nicer on the screen, so you want to buy this one.
I actually, I know you're joking, but I actually think that would be a good system.
It would be a terrible system. No, for the average person, yeah, sure.
Yeah. That's how CPU benchmarks, like official kind of like high-end ones, have turned out. Like the spec ratings, like it's just an arbitrary unit that defines that if this number is twice as good, it's going to be, roughly
twice as good. Yeah.
And for the average consumer, I think that is a good move.
No, and Joe basically nailed it. And going back to the technical side of things, it's like I was mentioning with No Man's Sky. You've got people out there with very modern, video cards that can put out far more teraflops than any of these consoles that are even being planned.
They can make 5 pretties.
But if their back-end framework, it's like I said, they're running on an older CPU with older memory. They can't provide the bandwidth, memory-wise and clock-wise to actually be able, you become CPU or memory bound. Whereas your GPU, your $600-700 1080 GTX is your bottleneck, or is not your bottleneck. It's actually your CPU.
Well, listen, as far as I'm concerned, if my computer with a GTX 1070 and a 3750K, which is like 6 years old, can run Witcher at a 4 pretties, should be able to run No Man's Sky at like 7 pretties, because that game should have much less, requirement than fucking Witcher 3 did. Okay, because that game was a beast on GPU and CPU.
Reminds me of back in the day consoles with the bits, where this was 16-bit, that was 32 bits.
That's a perfect example.
That was meaningless. That didn't mean anything.
It didn't mean anything, especially within the generation as you got later the generation. But like we were talking about for Final Fantasy 12, developers find a way to squeeze out every little bit of performance out of a machine that's still 32-bit. But then if you look at the first game that came out for PlayStation 2, you're like, this game looks awful compared to the last game that came out for PS3 or PS2.
Marketing guys are gonna market.
Yeah, maybe we do need some kind of arbitrary system to figure these things out, but.
I just think it's funny because I know what a flop is, and all of a sudden it just started being used as a metric with these new.
Yeah,
I didn't hear
just came about.
Anyone talking about how many flops something has?
It's been used for quite a while, but it has definitely hit like buzzword status.
Well,
at this point.
And again, this is to the point that the consoles get closer and closer to being personal computers. And so they need to come up with a system that is closer to the actual PC than what a console is, because it's very difficult to differentiate them, now. PC never called games 16-bit, 32-bit, 8-bit, whatever. Now we call them that. We don't call them that anymore, and now consoles are starting to use PC lingo. But the consumer base doesn't understand PC lingo. People like me who just are the average PC gamer don't even care about PC lingo.
But just to throw it in there, though, like the bits was used for a little while. Like you remember, like one of the major selling points for Windows 95 was it was a 32-bit operating system.
Well, but that means something different than an 8-bit game, a 16-bit game.
Oh, of course,
game.
it became a marketing point.
It absolutely did. You're
fucking
right.
Average consumer had no idea what 16-bit or 32-bit addressing meant.
Yeah, but for a completely different reason, they weren't even on like the same measurement
bits
point.
are better than 16, so that's why I'm going to upgrade to 95.
I think the real question here is how many pretties is a PlayStation 4 compared to an Xbox One?
It is 1.5 pretties.
Yeah, maybe not even that much. Maybe it's like 1.3.
I was going to go for like 1.4, but all right.
All right, so we're in agreement. It's between 1.3 and 1.5.
Yeah,
somewhere in there.
But I think this is something that actually it's serious that they address this sooner than later. I've advocated before that what they really need to do now that they're going for these 2-3 year refresh cycles is they do need an arbitrary system where it's like PlayStation 1 is version 1, and then in the future we're going to have games that release that say you need a PS system that's capable of quality output 3 to play this game, because we know that's going to happen eventually with the path that they're going down, and I think it needs to be addressed sooner than later. Get it into consumers' minds now. Ideally start with the Neo and stuff. This is, include a rating with it. They need to do it, or else there is going to be confusion 3 years down the line.
Well, and they can look to the mobile market a litpoint for this too.
Yeah.
When you look at iOS, you'll see an app on the store that says, requires an iPad, 2 or newer, and iOS 1 point whatever or newer on it to run this game or whatever. And that's kind of how they do it when they're talking about a yearly release. But console coming out every year, I'm not sure that it can sustain the same kind of trackability in that sense that a portable handheld can.
Also, they already said that Neo is not going to replace any PS4 games. You're still going to be able to run it on a PS4.
And that's the point I wanted to bring up. This is the first time we've seen something like this in the world of console gaming, where we've got a mid-cycle hardware flat-out upgrade.
This isn't even a refresh.
It's not a refresh of the existing hardware in a slimmer, more power-efficient model. We're seeing systems coming out that are vastly more powerful than their base system, and we're putting these developers into a position where they're being forced to develop for the lowest common denominator system, and I don't think they're going to appreciate that at all.
No, Nintendo.
But no, and I would say as a game developer, we don't within, maybe I'd say let's say there's the Neo and the Neo 2. Within the context of those 3 systems, it's feasible, in my opinion, to develop a game that runs okay on all 3. The problem is that when we get to the Neo 3, 4, 5, you're going to want to use newer, more intense technologies in your game engines that just won't be possible on some of the older hardware, no matter how well you optimize it, or at least not worth the effort to optimize for.
Yeah.
And that's when we need the system to say that you need at least this level of PS4 to play.
At some point, the console argument that has been sort of king for a while of, well, console's cheaper to get into, starts to become less and less true. If gamers are going to be expected to buy a new unit every, let's say, even 4 years, if like, you buy the Neo 1 and the Neo 2, you skip it to get the Neo 3 the next year, and they come out every 2 years, let's say, because that seems reasonable. Then, and games you can't play on the 1, you need a 3, you can't play them on the 1. Is that going to be cost effective to say every 2 years I spend $400 upgrading this thing?
I mean, we have to be realistic here. I mean, what Microsoft, what Sony are doing is adopting basically a PC development standpoint. Look, for all intents and purposes,
selling you a pre-built PC.
Scorpio and Neo are the new PlayStation and the new Xbox. They are completely upgraded hardware. And all they're basically stipulating is that you have to make your games work on the original base model, which is basically like a PC developer saying, okay, I got to set the bar this low, to develop for this level of system, for minimum requirements. That's basically what we're doing. We're establishing minimum requirements for these games.
Yeah, but it's worth talking about if that trend goes on for 2, 4, 6 years. Like Chocobro said, eventually
it could, or
the hardware is going to fail newer games.
Yeah, this whole experiment of releasing this mid-console life complete hardware upgrade may fall flat on its face.
Yeah, I mean, why would I do that if I could just buy PC and do the same thing?
Exclusives. That's the only reason at this point. It's the only reason that it existed for the past 2 console generations too. With they constantly harp on, well, we have these exclusive. If you want to play Uncharted, you have to be in our ecosystem. If you want to play Killer Instinct or Mass Effect or Gears of War, you have to be in our ecosystem. But you see these companies looping around. I mean, if essentially what they're going to sell you is a pre-built PC that they're going to label a PlayStation or an Xbox, then Microsoft is looping around. They got rid of games for Windows Live, and they're giving us Windows Universal Platform. That's a complete 360 in my opinion. And with PlayStation, they sold off VAIO, and they're going to replace it with what? The new PlayStation PC hardware lineup? It happens to be a game console. Like, it just seems like they've no more ideas left other than to just go in the direction of giving you a pre-built console every couple of years, or just saying, screw it, we're getting out of this industry. But they're not going to do that because it makes them hand over fist money, right?
Yeah, it is the best performer in their portfolio.
Yeah, so they're not going to abandon it.
So I think talking about exclusives leads to the next point pretty well.
Yes, it does. So PS Now is apparently coming to PC and Mac, right?
Yep.
I think that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
I think it is, yeah.
There's been unofficial ways to get it for a while, but it's, official support is nice.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, what exactly is in the PS Now lineup that makes anybody actually want to have this?
I don't subscribe to it, but I have considered it. Right now, I think this is a good use of the service, is they have a lot of PS3 RPGs on there, like several dozen of them, and that you can play kind of under a subscription as opposed to like buying the games individually or anything. And I think that's if you're going to play those games, that's actually a pretty good value.
Yeah, I'm looking. Okay, so I look at the list now. There's apparently a list on Wikipedia. It's got basically all the Assassin's Creed,
That's
1 through 3, Brotherhood Revelations.
Yeah,
this
it's
is probably not that updated. Blaze Blue, both Calamity Trigger and Chrono Phantasm and Continuum Shift and Continuum Shift. I mean, it's got some games that stand out. Killzone, a bunch of Mega Man games. I mean, these are the Resident Evil 4, 6, Code Veronica.
It's got PlayStation exclusive games like Last of Us.
Yeah, Last of Us is on there. I see that.
So this is actually an interesting
Started 1, 2, 3. I mean,
situation for somebody like myself, where like there's a lot of games on PS4 that I would like to play, but I'm just not willing to buy a PS4 because, like I said, it's mostly going to sit in my entertainment center and do a whole lot of nothing most of the time.
What is the cost of it?
I don't know. To have the opportunity to go back and play like Last of Us on PC, even if it's just via streaming, I might actually take advantage of that.
It's about 15. I think it's the highest one is $20 a month, but if you do it for 3 months, it's $15 a month.
So is this one of those services where you have to subscribe and buy the game, or you just subscribe?
No, you just subscribe. You can buy the game by itself. You don't have to subscribe.
Yeah, it's both basically. They have a subscription service that includes a lot of games and also a buy a particular game service.
The problem is you can't buy a game permanently. You have to rent it.
Yeah.
And I think the longest it allows you to rent is 90 days. It's usually just better to buy the subscription for a month than just play the game for a month.
Well, there's a 7-day free trial, so presumably that's going to come to PC also.
Yeah, and
So
I presume
that's
also
worth giving
that
a
means
shot.
that we're getting DualShock on PC, the controller, right?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I would
Like
hope they
official
official driver,
Well,
yeah.
They have official support for the DualShock 4, I think.
I don't think so.
I have to actually
That's what I
install
heard.
Bluetooth
But you
module
could-
in my
I believe you could just plug and play the DualShock 4, but yeah, you need the DualShock to play these games.
And these are Bluetooth controllers, if I'm correct. So that means you're going to need a Bluetooth adapter of some sort.
Well, no, you can just run it with a USB. That's what I do. Have a USB cable that came with it and just plug that in.
Yeah,
who
it
wants to
depends
do
on
that?
the OS too. PS4.
Because you need to charge it anyway.
PS4
Yeah.
controller works out of the box with Windows 10, and to my knowledge, it doesn't with 8.1 or 7.
Okay, because I had issues getting it running with Windows 10 without using DS4 Windows. This was very recently, but I would have to. There was a recent Windows update too that broke DS4. I apparently was not affected by that for some reason.
Don't feel bad. They break the Xbox One controller very frequently too.
They do.
Well-
That's wonderful.
Tom Sweeney said that this is a whole big conspiracy, right?
Yeah.
It is a
I'm
conspiracy.
sure Microsoft doesn't want PlayStation on their Windows platform either.
Oh,
All
I'm
right.
sure.
So what the hell is Microsoft doing? You had mentioned Beam before, and I don't know what the hell Beam is.
I don't think any of us knew what Beam was until today when I came across this article that Microsoft is acquiring this game streaming service called Beam. And we all kind of went and started looking at it, and we're like, holy crap, why haven't we been using this?
Yeah, that was my impression. It's, I've been a vocal complainer about a lot of the problems with Twitch TV and YouTube gaming. They both basically solve problems the other doesn't have, but have massive drawbacks that each other doesn't have. To where both services, in my mind, are non-starters. They're not
when
good
we talk about both
services.
services, we're basically going after Google and Twitch, and to some extent Hitbox. So
Hitbox is better among them, but still not where I would want it to be.
Right.
But looking over Beam, they basically have every feature that, as a professional broadcaster, I would want kind of set up out the gate, and even the stuff that is like what you considered like partner stuff, like the transcoders on like Twitch. They make it available if you're willing to pay for it, and that is what I've been begging for ages on Twitch. Like, I know it costs money, I know it's expensive. Let me pay for it.
Transcoding takes a significant amount of processing time.
And they saw. They said, hey, if you're willing to buy the subscription for $7 a month or whatever it is, we'll unlock these partner features for you. And that's everything I've ever wanted. Like that to me says that they have some good heads on their shoulder as a company.
Yeah, I mean, if you're serious about streaming, $7 a month is nothing.
Yeah.
That's a very reasonable price.
It's a minor business expense at that point.
Okay, so it sounds like
you can write it off.
they made a good decision acquiring this particular. I was just browsing some videos on there, or rather some live streams. I love the user interface. It's very clean.
Yeah, so they're doing some really cool things. So first of all, it's all HTML5 based. There's no Flash at all involved, so they've got that sorted out right out of the gate. And then also the core of this service basically is that they're trying to get it to the point where the users can engage the streamers in near real time to kind of influence the game that they might be streaming. And to that end, they have their own framework in place where the stream delay is supposed to be lower than 1 second, whereas on like Twitch it can be like 15-20 seconds
or more.
Yeah, sometimes more. And same with Google, and I think Hitbox to that extent. The downside right now is that you have to pretty much use their streaming software.
So no OBS, no.
Well, if they make their protocol available to OBS, it will probably be in there within a matter of days.
Yeah, I'm sure it will.
Yeah. Yeah, right now to get the best speeds, they have kind of their own transcoder, which has, or their own encoder, which has some, it has some flaws, but it's a nice option to have. Because beyond that, you can still. From what I've read, they're still really fast, like faster than Hitbox when it comes to just traditional, RTMP streams.
Yep. So I mean, this is a good move for Microsoft. Apparently, this company is based up in Seattle with them. Like they said, they're just down the street, and Microsoft fully intends to take their technology and their service and start integrating it into their their titles, basically.
Yeah, if I was in the market to buy a streaming company, I of all the ones I know of, this was probably the best bet.
It's
Microsoft
always going to
did
be
something good.
They certainly did do something good on paper. It's just always going to be difficult to compete with Twitch. That's always going to be the gold standard for things. I mean, YouTube gaming is having enough trouble competing with Twitch, and that's YouTube. And Hitbox obviously has had its ups and downs too with that.
Yeah, though, I mean, YouTube would be a lot more competitive if they just reformed Content ID. That is literally the only reason nobody uses it, because you have to mute basically every game. The game has a soundtrack, you have to mute it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can't monetize your stream. You can't. Your stream will just be muted, including yourself. It's just it just doesn't work. That's the problem. Technologically, it is a superior platform to Twitch in every way.
Yeah, but we know that people want to hear sound and they want to see video at the same time while you're talking over the game. I mean, that's just part of the entertainment element of streaming.
Yeah, it's just, and YouTube gaming basically just doesn't allow you to do that unless you really just want to kind of like roll your own public license soundtrack for over every game, and it's kind of it just seems cheesy.
Yeah, doesn't work, but this is another thing worth watching. We'll have to see what Microsoft does with this, whether they keep it going as is or try to rebrand it or how they integrate it into their service going forward. Yeah, Microsoft's making a lot of small moves, and it all seems like it's leading up to some big vision that they have. And maybe to some people that's clear. To me, it is not exactly clear. I don't know about you guys.
I don't know, but they seem like they're doing okay lately.
Yeah, they do.
The evil, ever since the new CEO took over, it seems like the kind of evil Microsoft in the 90s is like slowly fading away bit by bit.
Yeah. So we've got this Gamescom coming up, and as we can expect, there will be a lot of games shown off. Firstly, we're going to see, I guess, a lot of VR from Sony. So AI, since you are probably the one following this the closest of everyone here, what are you looking forward to? Well, you're the only one I know that has that thing on pre-order.
Oh, PlayStation VR.
Yeah, PlayStation VR. So what titles are they going to be showing off for PlayStation VR this time around? I mean, stuff we've already seen for the most part, right?
Yeah, they'll be showing off Battlezone, Batman, Arkham VR, which I think is exclusive to the PlayStation VR. Bound VR, which is exclusive. We could actually, Bound is coming out on the 16th, so if you order that, you'll get the VR version, I believe. Eve Valkyrie, which we've all seen, of course. Farpoint. Hatsune Miku VR Future Live.
Game of the year.
Let's not go that far.
Actually, probably will be a pretty good game. Headmaster, which is the football game. I think that's PlayStation VR exclusive, I believe. Here They Lie. I hear really good things about that one, so I'm looking forward to that one. It's a horror game.
Yeah.
For VR.
Sounds like quite a few things that people are looking forward to in general.
Yeah, I think the video that we're seeing on the Twitch stream right now is for the PlayStation VR World,
yes,
which I guess is kind of a demonstration game that they're developing. But there's a lot of cool little elements in this thing.
Yeah, if you're curious which games I plan to play, I'm definitely getting Battlezone. That looks amazing. I'm gonna possibly pick up Farpoint. I'll probably pick up
the remastered Battlezone from the late 90s there, right? Which was like one of the
well,
first.
It's a totally new Battlezone.
Oh, okay. I know there's a different group that's remastering that late 90s Battlezone, which was a phenomenal game for its time.
Okay. So lots of stuff in place. This is going to be really the last big show before they release, right? Or does CGS come before the VR release for PlayStation? I don't know offhand.
Yeah, it comes Tokyo Game Shows before. Okay. It's in September, mid-September, I believe.
So we'll see a lot about this, and this is actually coming up this week. So if you guys are into games as much as we are, watch Gamescom, because what we're talking about isn't going to be the extent of it. There's going to be, more than even what we're seeing here. Occasionally, we see a couple new trailers or releases or new gameplay stuff from stuff we saw at E3. So Gamescom is a good time. The next one here. So Robert Space Industries is apparently doing some crazy stuff at Gamescom as well. Do you want to tell us what you're what to look forward to there, Core?
Sure can. So Robert Space Industries, which is the main company that is developing both Star Citizen and Squadron 42, Gamescom is their big show. That is where they give like all the the big status updates on Star Citizen, show off what they've been working on, the major milestones that they've accomplished. So basically, we're hoping to finally get some time frame release dates on at least Squadron 42, because Squadron 42, which is the standalone kind of single player space sim that they are developing, is scheduled to release this year, but we've heard like precious little about it since probably like 6 months ago. So for a game that's supposed to, for a game that's supposed to come out in 2016, and again at Gamescom back in 2015, they showed off a tremendous amount of Squadron 42 and the work that they've done, and with a lot of the voice actors and the motion capture stuff that has been done. So basically, we're hoping to see some major advancements here and maybe get a release date for this year. And then, of course, we're going to see what they've been working on development-wise with the actual online persistent Star Citizen universe. And Gamescom last year, they showed the simultaneous players operating like the larger ships with the they had 4 people in a constellation, I think like 4 or 5 people in the long range bomber with the Retaliator, I think, kind of doing a mock fight. And this was a huge point for them, because there were a lot of people in the industry saying that the technology just wasn't there to do this yet, but they came out and showed that yes, it is being done right now. And that, of course, very shortly made it into the development, production version, basically. Well,
yeah, I imagine the people who are following this game pretty close probably already know they're going to see this game at Gamescom, but for everyone else, if you are on the fence...
It's been a highlight of the show for like the last 2 years.
Yeah, this will be a big one.
Doing their show.
And I think some of the meatiest rumors coming out, too, is that we may actually see the NX itself at this Gamescom. So what do you guys think of that? Likely, unlikely?
Yeah, so this is rumored, but we know Nintendo said they were going to show off the NX, towards the end of 2016. We're getting towards the end, and this is pretty much, the last major game show. We know that Nintendo doesn't do the Tokyo Game Show. They're not on the roster as an attendee. So what other opportunity are they going to have to show off the NX if they're, if they don't have like some, self-funded, presentation already planned?
Well, that's just it. Nintendo can do their direct whenever they want. I mean, they can just make a 20-minute video and show everything they want in a very controlled environment, which is kind of what Nintendo likes to do. So I really hope that this rumor is true, because I would love to see what this thing's about, despite what we kind of already think we know about it anyway. It would be a great time to do it in Germany. I mean, why not, Nintendo? What do you got to lose, Nintendo?
I think that Nintendo only reveals their consoles in documents.
In purposely leaked documents?
Yes, to investors and people that don't really play games.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Well, I don't know. I would love to see that. Yeah, I would love to see it.
Yeah, everybody would. I mean, I think we're starting to get a pretty good idea of what this NX is, but until we physically see it in person, nobody can really commit.
Make it $200 or less, and I will buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
For basically what we know at this point is we're looking at a handheld / console that is capable of current console level performance, but we'll see.
Maybe. Now, there's other rumors circulating this week that was all untrue, and it's like, for the most part, I just want them to officially start announcing these things so that I can start talking about them publicly.
I mean, we know that the development boxes for this thing are out there, so I mean, there's a lot of game developers being very good about keeping their bloody mouths shut.
I mean, they would have to.
Are.
They really want to. I mean, there's a big threat with that. You don't want to fuck that up.
Yeah, I guess we'll just roll into the last one. So, and Microsoft is, of course, going to be there too. They don't have a whole lot to show off. I think they're going to be showing off Gears of War 4, Forza Horizon, Halo Wars.
The usual whatever.
Recore and Sea of Thieves, and that's just about it for Microsoft.
Well, it's basically stuff we saw at E3 already.
Yep, it's just E3 rehash. So they have a few indie titles on here for, I guess they call it like what ID at Xbox now. That's We Happy Few, which we talked about last podcast, Everspace, and Cuphead, which I know several of you are looking forward to.
All right, so earlier we were talking about some PC issues with No Man's Sky, and recently Telltale released its episode 1 of its Batman game, which also seemed to be plagued with some specific issues. Anyone here pick up the game and can talk about, or can talk about these specific issues going on with Telltale's Batman?
I did not. You know my stance. I don't pick up these series until they're complete. So I figured if anybody was going to pick it up, it would be you.
I thought I would. Being Batman, I don't know. I'm just not that into Batman, really. But I did hear quite a bit about it. A little bit too much on Batman's backstory. Not a lot of. I don't know. I don't know what people were expecting. It's an episode 1 of a series that is looking to probably be 6+ episodes. Is the feeling a lot of people get, and I guess some of that has to do with Minecraft going past the 5, and Game of Thrones was a 6. But apparently there are quite a few technical issues with this game that have not fully been resolved, which is kind of surprising, unfortunately, for them, because I feel like even though Telltale has had issues with some of its PC games, like I feel like there was a time where they really put PC before everything else, and now they've even gone the other way with this kind of porting shit. Terribly.
I mean, yeah, and this game came out on everything. Previous generation consoles, this generation consoles, handhelds, tablets, PC, Mac, Linux, everything.
As they're wont to do,
This game also has some of the lowest resolutions on consoles. This generation consoles, it actually runs at, I think it was 1280 by 1614 on the Xbox One.
Yeah, it runs at some like 720p and 900p.
And
this is supposed to be Telltale's like new upgraded engine, and if we're having these problems out the gate, that's not a good sign.
We actually found out that it's just an upgrade to their current engine. It wasn't a new engine.
Oh, sure,
it wasn't entirely
in a similar vein of how Skyrim's engine was just an upgrade of the Oblivion engine, and that even though they said it's an entire new engine, that was bullshit.
They said the same thing about Fallout 4. So.
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure that any of these companies know what a new engine is. Like when they say that, what people think a new engine is not what they think a new engine is.
You go look at the Witcher games. Look at The Witcher 1, and then look at Witcher 2 and 3, which ran on Red Engine, and you'll see.
That's a new engine.
I changed the line of code. It's a new engine.
Yeah, by definition, I guess it could be, but.
Yeah, and there's a lot of this particular video we're running here shows a lot of the frame differences between Xbox and PlayStation. There's a lot of dips, dip below 30 and stuff like that, which is just like, really? You can't even keep the console running at 30 FPS locked? Like, something wrong with your system, guys.
It did slow. They're actually still pretty early in the video. It did slow at 20 at some points.
Yeah, it's just getting to that point where it's starting to hit like the 20 and below.
So I'll say, I say it all the time. I'll say it again.
I know.
New engine, fix your shit. Stop pumping out games every 2 months.
It's becoming a very, very repeated thing on the subreddit that follows Telltale Games too. So people are definitely calling for that all over the damn place. All right, so let's talk about the last bit of news here. I think that's probably worth maybe mentioning, just in the interest of time as well. So Quantum Break is going to get a Steam release, apparently.
Yeah, it came out for Xbox One and on the Windows Store for Universal Windows platform, and it didn't do nearly as well as they had wanted. So apparently, Remedy,
surprise. This is my shocked face.
So Remedy engaged Microsoft, and they are going to be developing a Win32 build with DirectX 11 support for Steam release. And the reason this is newsworthy, other than an announcement, is there was a developer from Remedy who started engaging people via Twitter, who were asking questions about the Steam release and what was going to happen to the Windows Store, UWP platform version of Quantum Break. And this guy is definitely not a PR guy. He was given very vapid, responses about, we don't have any plans to really support, the Universal Windows platform anymore, which led a lot of people to, retaliate back, basically saying, well, we paid 60 and even in the UK like $70-$80 for this game that you're not going to support anymore, and for all intents and purposes on the PC performs like shit because DX12 just wasn't matured yet and the developer wasn't mature with that SDK. So but apparently Microsoft has come out and said, don't listen to the idiot on Twitter. We will continue to support it. You're going to get the same updates that the Steam version gets. Obviously, the Universal Windows platform probably not going to support the DX11, but we'll see.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, I guess this kind of allays some of the fears about Universal Windows platform overtaking Steam anytime soon.
Right. Yeah, I think that was the biggest concern. People were like, we were seeing, Windows Store games going unsupported this quickly. Like, come on, like what kind of faith can we put in the system? And it's good to see Microsoft coming out and standing behind their platform.
Absolutely.
Unlike Games for Windows Live, which they never stood behind anything on there.
Pretty much.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier, like I think that Universal Windows platform is a good move for them in the long term, but they just can't get away from their Win32 legacy. Like, it's just, they can't get the users over there to agree to basically technologically move forward. Wow. And it's something it's been a problem with them since the 90s.
Yeah, they're not going to solve the problem overnight, and no matter how much planning they do, I mean, if it's something that's just the world is stuck in, then what are they going to do? They tried to push everyone onto Windows 10 for a reason, right?
Of course.
Trying to control some of the problem, I think, for their future, and they're not going to get everyone to adopt the same platform ever.
Yeah, I mean, this direction, and I feel is a direction that they certainly need to go. And what's the saying? Wise men plant trees, fully knowing they'll never sit in their shade. I mean, they've got to start laying the foundation here now, so in the future this can happen. And they have to stand behind it through the bad and the good. And right now, it's bad. We've seen the Windows Store and the Universal Windows platform come out and had a lot of problems for gaming. For general applications, it works phenomenally. For gaming, they're still working on it, and they're working on it, and that's the important thing. They're working on it. They're standing on their products. They're listening to the gamers' feedback and incorporating the good changes that need to be made.
Yeah, I mean, it's still early to know like what the future of that whole platform is going to be. So I mean, they just launched it early this year, and. Tomb Raider is the other big title on it, and I haven't heard too many problems with that. So,
well, so long as you weren't a G-Sync user, at the time.
Right. Well, that's all fixed now. Like the game even supports DSR, which is cool. I mean, I played it with the DSR and the G-Sync on, and it works pretty well.
Good. I'll wait for a sale.
All right. So that's it for news. Let's talk about some announcements real quick. Go down the line here. The first big one. This is kind of coming in response to, a lot of stuff that's been going on, but Peter Hines, who's one of the big HR guys, or PR guys over at Bethesda, is confirming that The Elder Scrolls 6 is not currently in production at this very moment in time. Bethesda recently talked about there being 3 new games that they're working on, new IPs or new games, they didn't say exactly. So that's kind of what they're focused on, and that they'll let fans know when Elder Scrolls is going to be ready to go. And you won't see anything about Elder Scrolls 6, not even a trailer, until the game is ready to release. So I'm expecting them in 4 years from now.
I don't think it'll be that long. My takeaway from this is it's not in full active production.
It's not, yeah.
You can totally bet that the Elder Scrolls team over at Bethesda is definitely in pre-production, defining story and developing assets and whatever engine changes need to be made to support
You're correct.
Their vision of Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, so because people were picking apart the wording of this for some time. It's not in production, which means it could be in pre-production. They're working on art at the very least. They're designing where it's going to be. They're talking about the game a little bit to determine what region it's going to be in, what's going to be there, what's not going to be there, that kind of stuff. Working on the lore for the game, but it's not being coded, worked on in that aspect where it's becoming a game yet.
And honestly, and this is my considered opinion, I think that they're seriously looking at developing a new engine at this point, because you look at Skyrim and you go look at like The Witcher 3 and Fallout 4, and you look at the differences in the engines and how these two open world RPGs are just worlds apart technology wise. Like
Yes.
the Bethesda's technology is just so far below what Red Engine 3 can do. Like they cannot have help but notice that. And so if they're not working on a new engine at this point, I would be amazed.
Yeah, it's possible that's what they're doing.
Yeah, and I agree with that. It's they're really far behind. Just for stuff I'm working on, like the stuff that I could do in Unreal 4, which is inferior to Red in a lot of ways, is just like I'm amazed like at the level of quality that I can pump out these days, and it looks better than Fallout 4, can at its best settings.
Yeah, I mean,
All right.
they've got to get on par with at least like The Witcher 3 at this point.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of studios that have been making the same games, like Telltale, like Bethesda, they do need to think about upgrading their engine. They need to put some money into that and think about, what the future is going to be for, their game series and what they want to do.
And if they're going to persist with this, bastardized and completely customized version of Gamebryo that they're using at this point, at least do something about the internal like loading. Like basically, if you go inside a building, you've got to load.
Yeah.
Like,
There's a lot of little things that annoy the shit out of me.
You go play The Witcher 3 and you realize you've just played for like 6 hours and never seen a loading screen, and you've been walking inside and out of buildings, inside and outside of dungeons, never seen a loading screen. I'm like, come on, Bethesda, you can do this.
That's a big deal. All right, so Nintendo's got a few problems on their hands. The first one, the first two really are some fan-made games that have come out. Pokemon Uranium is a nuclear version of Pokemon that has just hit the internet, and it's being talked up pretty well. That it's a pretty solid game, and it is out there. And Nintendo has hit this one with a DMCA. It's pretty rough to. It's not actually that difficult to find. It took me about 2 minutes to find it before the podcast, download it, install it. But the primary servers where it was being hosted are offline, so the patching on it is currently broken. But we put it on stream here. It looks like a 3DS game, essentially. And I didn't play any of it yet, but I did boot it up. Works really well on my PC, and I'm going to play around with it for a little bit. The second one is actually a game that I was made aware of by my best buddy, Zerlik, called, officially it's called AM2R, which stands for Another Metroid 2 Remake. And the game is called AM2R when you boot it up, Return of Samus. And this one also got hit with the DMCA. This one actually got hit before Pokemon. And this one actually is kind of hard to find. I was not able to find this in the same amount of time or even a few extra minutes as it was for Pokemon Uranium. So if you've gotten to play this one, it basically looks like a Game Boy Metroid 2. So I heard it was pretty good. It's very old school. And it was true to the feel of what you want out of a Metroid game. Not this new Samus Blitzball bullshit or whatever that they're trying to make you play.
Blitzball.
Federation Force, man.
Whatever the fuck. It's not what people want. Apparently people want this. Nintendo disagrees that you should be allowed to have it. So
they're going after all the file hosts, basically.
They're trying to get everybody screwed, get all those files pulled off the internet. Because, in case they want to release a Metroid 2 game, apparently. And the third one, which just hit about 2 days ago, maybe even just yesterday, is GoldenEye Source 5.0. So this is a remake of GoldenEye in the Source engine. And I'm showing it off here on the stream now. Might take a minute to catch up on her, a second to catch up. And so we'll see what the fate of this one in particular is going to be. But it is going to have full-on multiplayer, like you would expect. So that's cool. GoldenEye is very close to my heart as a person who played a lot of GoldenEye in my dorm room with drunk people.
Did you play all landmines?
And here's the thing. We know Nintendo's going to come after this one too. And I'm just like, why?
Oh,
Nintendo?
yeah, they are.
Why are you so stupid? Look at Valve. Look what Valve does. I mean, somebody came out and, the Black Mesa project came around, the remake of Half-Life, in the most modern Source engine. And what did Valve do? They put it up on Steam.
Yeah. Here you go. I don't know, man. Nintendo.
It's even an early access game now. They're actually monetizing it, and Valve is fucking totally cool with that.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked in the past too about anytime Nintendo anything, we're gonna get. We are also going to get a copyright flag on this particular stream when we upload it to YouTube because we used Breath of the Wild footage. So there will be nothing else. It will be no. It's happened every time. We don't monetize these videos, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, that's how bad it is for Nintendo. You can't even show a little thing on YouTube about it.
Yeah, I think in the future we're just gonna put up a little banner saying we would show the Nintendo game, but we got our PP slapped.
Yeah, maybe I'll have that image ready for the future.
Yes, I don't know how I feel about this. Like, I don't like what they're doing, but it's their right to do it, and I don't. It's just a wash. I don't see them gaining anything from it, but it is their right to enforce it.
And it should be noted.
You're right. And I'll say this, that Valve is a private company. They are not, a public corporation, publicly owned. So they can do those kinds of things. Whereas Nintendo, they are beholden to their shareholders. They have to defend their intellectual property and their trademarks and their copyrights. And if they don't defend them, then that creates, standing in the future for other people to go violate those trademarks and copyrights.
Yeah, and just it should be noticed that none of these 3 titles that we've just mentioned are for any kind of profit either. They're completely free games that you can go and download if you can find them. GoldenEye released 2 days ago, actually, August 12th. So this past Friday. The other games have been in the wild for about a week and maybe about 5 days, respectively, something like that. So yeah, they're out there, and Nintendo doesn't want you to have them. So that's probably a better reason to play them.
Nintendo does not want you to have fun unless you're playing on Nintendo.
That's right. So the Quantum Break game coming for PC that we talked about on Steam, and also there's going to be a retail box. It's coming on September 14, in case you care, just so you know. And the Dead Rising remasters that we mentioned last time are coming on September 13.
The most fun you can have with zombies in a shopping mall.
That's right. And that's coming, those are going to be $20 a piece.
I don't know, Left 4 Dead had a shopping mall.
And put the Prey video up here, but some new Prey gameplay was shown off in this new trailer that you're going to see in a sec. There it is. So, you wanted to talk about this in kind of the news section.
We're talking about Prey 2, right? Yeah, we kind of
Prey 2, Prey Reboot.
I think we're going to go with Prey Reboot, considering
the
developers themselves have come out and said that Prey 2 has absolutely nothing to do with the plot or the events or the characters in the first Prey, which was a 2006 2007 title, which was a brilliant game, extremely underrated for its time, but used the ID Tech 4 engine and had portals before Portal was even a thing.
Yes.
This gameplay, so they are justifying calling it Prey 2 because it has thematic elements that resemble the original Prey. But what they're truly saying is we're using the Prey name because it's an already established name and we want to sell a lot of copies of this game.
Mm.
Even though Prey isn't really a big IP that you just said, so
yeah.
It's the biggest IP.
Well, maybe we'll talk about it some other time. But there was a huge falling out of because there was a Prey 2 in development before this Prey 2 that Bethesda's doing. It was the original Prey was Human Head Entertainment under 2K Games, and then somehow Bethesda ended up with the IP. I'm not entirely sure how that happened, but yeah, there's a story there.
There is a story somewhere in there.
It fell apart, and it fell apart in a bad way, and they just mothballed it until they wanted to build this game.
So what I've got in the stream here too is Rocket League Rumble, which is a new game mode coming in September. Some new music and stuff. It's going to have a lot of new elements to the game. I don't know, mostly that encourage scoring and silliness, I think. So there's going to be like the ability to stick the ball to your car with spikes. Random like boots on springs or like boxing gloves on springs are going to come out and knock people out of the play. All kinds of just weird stuff going on here in Rocket League. So
you can make a tornado.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of funky stuff going on. I'm not sure how popular this particular mode is going to be. It sounds like something inspired by Rocket Labs, which is kind of like the mode where people get to kind of make elements in the game and change tweak settings about the game, like the ball weight, the size of the map, size of the goal, all weird kind of stuff like that. It's kind of in league with or kind of in line with the way Rocket League has done like a really solid competitive kind of thing and then like a silly patch. This is definitely the silliest of the silly. Yeah, so there's that in case you're interested.
But if we're basically looking at like Super Smash Brothers Rocket League here.
Basically, yeah, it's something really strange. I'll give it a shot in a month, and I'll let you guys know how it turns out. The trailer that I was probably heard the most about, or was most excited about too, was the Quake Champions got a new trailer. This is Bethesda's answer to kind of, I don't know. It's hard to tell now whether it's kind of their answer to Overwatch and Battleborn and all that other stuff going on right now, but it seems really cool. It looks very, very much like a Quake homage. Like this is exactly what people really want out of Quake. So,
what was that second game you said?
Battleborn.
What's a Battleborn?
Yeah, nobody knows what that game is anymore because it's done.
They claim otherwise, but maybe that's something for next week.
Maybe it is. All right. Well, there you have it. So yeah, Quake Champions. Did you guys were you guys excited about this at all? Take a look.
I'm gonna take a look when it comes out.
Yeah, exactly.
Till then, it's not on my hype radar until I see it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's fair. All right. What else we got? Outlast 2 has been postponed until Q1 2017. That's per their Outlast Facebook page. And Corey, you want to do this next one while I keep the video?
Sure. So if you are one of the crazy people out there who have a PC capable of playing The Witcher 3, and for some insane reason you haven't bought it and played it yet, even though it's been discounted numerous times, you are in luck. The Witcher 3 Game of the Year edition will be coming out at the end of August. We don't have a specific date yet, but it will be the Game of the Year edition. It will include The Witcher 3 and both of its expansions and various, and all the DLC, I'm sure.
Yeah,
You don't need a PC to play it.
Well, that's true. It came out on consoles too. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Bah.
Sure.
Those people don't matter. Those people don't matter to me.
I'm happy it's coming, though I'm a little bit disappointed myself personally because I just bought the game. I just bought the game and the expansion packs for $50.
Ooh, regrettable, sir.
Yeah, basically. So it's like I could have got all the other DLC for the same price, basically, if I would have waited 3 weeks.
But look on the bright side. You supported a company that entirely deserves it.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. I doubt I'll regret it. It's just bad timing.
It's a hard purchase to regret, honestly.
Yep. You could argue, The Witcher 3 was clearly, Game of the Year for 2015, and you could argue its expansions might even qualify for 2016.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. I could totally see that. Really fucking good game.
Agreed.
All right. Who wants to go through the rest of these while I work on queuing up videos?
I can cover the next one. So, Blizzard is going to reveal a remaster of the original StarCraft in September. Cool. So, yeah. If you've been wanting to replay the original StarCraft in a, upgraded StarCraft 2 engine, most likely, then this is coming.
I'm actually surprised about that. It feels like kind of a minor, tacit admission of defeat in regards to the outcomes of StarCraft 2.
There has been discontent among StarCraft players regarding StarCraft 2. I'm not a huge fan of the StarCraft franchise, but
it's competitively it seemed like people really preferred 1, and I guess that's what they're finally catering to. It's okay, StarCraft 2 was never as big as 1. We're just going to give you 1 and hope that's big.
I think, yeah, that's pretty much what they're doing. Alrighty then. So moving on, we got Final Fantasy 15 release date possibly pushed back to late November. That was supposed to come out in October?
September 30th or something like that.
Yeah, end of September, early October. So apparently they're having some problems with that.
It's quite a push.
We don't know if this rumor is confirmed or not, though.
Yeah, this is very much rumor mill.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, but yeah.
That'd be the 20th push back for the game?
Yeah.
In that region.
It's been pushed back for about 10 years.
And what else? We got Electronic Arts gave us some gameplay details of Titanfall 2. They've got high hopes for this game. I know the first one was pretty well received, but they didn't push the units they really wanted it to across consoles or PC.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're expecting this to sell like twice as much, I think it was.
And yeah,
I think
this is one of the first games that we're seeing where EA has realized that going pure multiplayer is a terrible move for their games, and they kind of admitted that with Star Wars Battlefront. So I think they're saying that we're going to see some single player gameplay in Titanfall 2, along with Star Wars Battlefront 2 when it comes out.
Yeah, and they did a great job of really showing off and like showcasing that there is going to be a single player this time around at E3. They're like, here's what the story is going to be. You're going to be really sad. It's going to be really emotional. Blah 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 blah. You and the mech, stuff like that. Whatever.
They also really seem to have improved on the parkour. There's a lot more platforming on this.
It seems like
game
a
now.
lot more.
Yeah, that's what we're seeing. This entire level that they're running right now is all about platforming.
Which is really neat because it's one of the aspects that a lot of like Call of Duty copy did and everything. That it worked really well in the game.
Give everybody a jump pack.
Game.
It's fine.
It was a great game.
Did you play the original Titanfall? I never did.
Yeah, I did.
All right. Yeah, this could be doable. I don't know. We'll have to see it. There's too much platforming elements that I'm not a huge platformer.
There's a lot going on. Well, I mean, it's gonna thrive on multiplayer even if people buy it for the single player.
Sure.
That's just how it is.
That's their bread and butter. All right, moving on. We've got Alice VR. I know absolutely nothing about this. I'm pretty sure AI Monster threw it up there, so I'm gonna let him take this one.
I don't really know much about it either. It's a sci-fi exploration game, and it's for the Oculus Rift and the Vive, and I don't know anything beyond that, but it looks all right.
I see. So it's not American McGee's Alex. It's a
No,
completely
it's
different
nothing
game.
to do with Lewis Carroll's, Alice in Wonderland. Through the Looking Glass.
Now you're on like a Mars-like landscape, so
Yeah, it looks pretty. The cockpit elements should work. I'm curious about the first-person elements because, again, we've proven time and time again the quickest way to make the bulk of the VR users sick is to give them a first-person experience without actually being able to stand up and walk around.
well,
Yeah,
not
basically.
everyone gets sick doing
No,
that.
not everyone, but a large portion of the
And some games offer you both teleportation, which kind of fixes the locomotion issue, and the standard locomotion option. A lot of good VR games allow for both.
Yeah, I can definitely handle like first-person shooters. Like I was playing, Team Fortress 2 on the Oculus DK2, which was a blast. I mean, that was fun. But yeah, a large portion of the VR users, they will get motion sick and they will not have a good time. So, but the teleportation introduces some interesting, exploit opportunities also that are very hard to balance around. All right, then. We've got the Metronomicon, a dance rhythm RPG game.
Yes, a new and budding subgenre.
Clearly,
What is this?
Are we just...
It's not really that new. I remember
it's
playing
new
a game
enough.
like it 10
The only
years
other-
ago.
Yeah, there's been like a few games like that over the years, and some recent ones like Crypt of the Necrodancer.
I'm not even sure what I'm watching.
I don't know nothing about this one. This seems
Just-
something very Japanese to me, and I'm fairly certain I know who put it up here.
It's not Japanese though.
Just
That
picture
look that art style looks like Flash.
Might as well be.
just picture you're playing Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, and everyone at the table decides to be a bard. That's the game for you.
That sounds terrible.
And yes, it's DDR.
I think that's the best idea.
It's a gameplay. You're hitting the buttons the right direction as it comes up on the screen.
So
Getting
it's
the
not
bosses
even using
that
like
way.
a dance pad. This is falling like a gamepad.
I just hope this
Well,
game
I
doesn't
mean,
take
I'm
itself
sure you
too
could
seriously.
use a dance pad and just remap the inputs.
All right. Fun,
Okay.
exciting story. Okay, yeah, I won't be playing that one, I don't think. All right, then we've got Hue, which is a puzzle platformer. And you threw this one up here. You better be talking about these.
Yeah, he likes this one. He's going to play it.
I am?
Sure are.
This
Actually-
one reminded me like a little bit of. I think I played a game like this before, but Thomas is Alone is kind of the one that reminded me of Limbo, I guess you
Yeah.
could say.
Yeah, I
But
can see
you
that.
change the color and it gives you different effects, and it changes the world as you change the color. So
It's a new way to implement puzzles
yes,
using some kind
I don't
of
even think
chromatic
it's new.
understanding.
Yeah, I don't even think it's new. Like this kind of has been done before.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks all right.
But what I really want to know is, will the game have a colorblind mode? Because if they don't, that's
don't even start, man.
that's like the biggest dick move in game development ever. If this game does not have a colorblind mode,
I'm not sure that it would. Well, yeah, I guess it could work. It just seems difficult to implement.
they just need different colors.
They do. Maybe if you turn on Windows high contrast mode, everything will be fine.
I'm curious how does Limbo look in it?
I don't know. I mean, that's just black and white, so that would be really difficult to do something with, I think, unless you make those colors really different. Pink and green? I mean, I don't know. Okay, anyway. Yeah.
Hearthstone is getting an expansion. One Night in Karazhan, which will make the hard man humble, I presume.
I don't know. I actually haven't played Hearthstone in a while. But I expect this is going to be like the usual expansion. It's going to add a whole bunch of new cards and new ways to play and new strategies, new deck builds, all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure people are playing it all over Twitch right now, wherever they are.
I do not doubt that the least.
Okay, so now we have our 1-minute Japanese game segment hosted by AI Monster, where we all get a drink and he talks for a minute about some Japanese game that's not coming out in the West, probably.
That's not accurate.
This is never going to come out in the West. It's been out in Japan for over a year now. Very popular. I know this still hits charts in Japan on the Vita. Very popular Vita game. I think it's one of the best-selling Vita games. Like number 5 or something.
Okay, what is it called?
It's called IAVT Colorful. And it's a Vocaloid rhythm game, so we have another rhythm game that Naughtius would never play.
Well, he can't play it. It's not coming to the West.
It's like a lot of the rhythm games, like Hatsune Miku and DDR and things like that. But the backgrounds and the art and everything will change as you're doing well in the game. So I think that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, kind of like incorporating some of that like Elite Beat Agent aspect into it.
Yeah, whatever that is.
It's a Nintendo made rhythm game that had that kind of thing where it's like depending on how you were doing, the background like reflected it as it told like the story.
Yeah, but this game will never be released in the US because of
that's such a shame
with the music. No, but this is a really well received game. It sells well and it was well received by critics. I mean, it looks pretty good for a Vita game.
Copyright is the devil.
All right.
But you can import it.
You sure can.
Maybe I will.
So why don't you take us right into the rest of the upcoming games, since this is mostly you, I guess. This next one I actually know.
Yes, this next one was my game
the one where
of the year as the worst game of the year.
Yeah, like this is like one where like you bang your sisters.
No,
something.
you don't bang. Kind of like
no, that would be game of the year.
Oh,
like,
all right.
go on.
But you do make Star Children.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and this game was awful.
It's called Conception 2.
Very mediocre combat, very mediocre. The dungeons were the blandest I've ever seen. As Conception 2, Children of 7 Stars. If you want to just play an awful JRPG, this is a good one to pick up. It's coming out.
Awful RPG, good one to pick up. Here we go.
You can hardly do worse.
Selling you shitty games now.
If you want to see like what the B tier of games is,
No,
in terms of B tier movies, this is like the B tier movie.
This is like the snakes on the plane of games now.
You are giving it way too much credit, AI. This is like a solid C-.
All right.
Yeah, the game was pretty fucking bad. So yeah, if you really want to pick it up for whatever reason, I don't know why like Chunsoft would choose to release this on PC when they have so many other games they could really release on PC, but they chose this one. And it was formerly a PS Vita game. I
Yes,
think it was
we
out,
got
it was
it.
out in 2014.
We got it. It's terrible. It's coming out on
August
PC
15th.
for some reason.
I'll be buying it tomorrow.
Let's move along.
All right. Next up is Bound. I think we talked about it a little bit. It's a platformer for PS4, and it's going to be PSVR supported. I don't know if you need to buy a separate version for PSVR or not.
Yeah, and this is a Santa Monica Studio game, which that alone says, look at this game.
Sure, yeah. It looks very pretty, but you can also tell it has that VR aesthetic to it.
Now, I'm probably going to wait on this one, see what the reviews are like. But it's coming out for PS4, if that wasn't obvious, and it's coming out August 16th.
Okie dokie.
All right, now this one surprised me. I didn't think this was releasing so early because they just announced it. Grow Up from Ubisoft. So there's a little Ubisoft warning on it. That's more this one guy developing it.
Yeah, this isn't
Small
really
studio.
Ubisoft proper necessarily. And Grow Home
Being
did
published
fantastically
by
well.
Mhm.
Oh no, Ubisoft is very supportive of indie titles, and they bring them in, and they've had some very good ones like Child of Light and This War of Mine. Not this war. Yeah.
Valiant Hearts.
Valiant
Hearts. Thank you.
Yeah, but I think those were proper Ubisoft. I think this one's just being published by Ubisoft. I don't think it's being developed. I don't know. Maybe it is. But yeah, I love Grow Home. Was it Grow Home? Yeah, it was Grow Home. I Grow Home, so I definitely recommend picking this one up. I'm probably just going to buy it. And even though it's an Ubisoft game, which is unusual.
Hey, sometimes they make a good small title here and there.
Yeah, I mean, it still might be a buggy mess, but who knows? It's coming out for PS4, PC, and Xbox One, August 16th. Next up, we got Monsters and Monocles. It's a top-down shooter. It's in early access, so this is not a full release. It's coming out for PC, PS4,
Looks like
August 16th.
Looks like a twin stick shooter.
Yeah, it's a twin-stick shooter, top-down twin-stick shooter with multiplayer. So it might be fun to play with a bunch of people, like Gauntlet
Yeah,
style game.
a lot of styles of these games. Lots of mayhem on screen. If you like that.
Next up, title's pretty interesting. It's called I don't even know how to pronounce it. Oculus.
Oculus? Maybe.
Yeah,
Who knows?
It's based on Greek mythology. It's a strategy game where you kind of guide units with your mouse cursor. I think it might be coming out on consoles as well. I'm not sure, but I didn't get a date on that or anything. But you guide a bunch of people, a mob, into fight all these weird Greek gods.
Yeah, this is really weird.
It just looks like a really creative game. And
We've
we'll
shown
have to see
this
how
off
the gameplay is.
before too. I remember seeing this before.
Yeah, we did initially when it was announced. We showed the trailer for it and talked. It looked pretty interesting. And
I'm laughing my ass
So
off. Like
weird.
mobs of 150 angry Greeks.
Yeah, destroy everything.
they're fighting
Looks
big
fun.
gods. It does look fun, and I actually might pick this one up.
Which platform is this on?
PC.
Oh, I'm getting this.
I'm throwing down $10 for this.
The militarized livestock sold me.
Yeah, right. Cows and sheep all over the place.
All right. Next up, we got F1 2016. It's a racing game
As it would be.
for PC, PS4, and Xbox One, August 19th.
It looks great. If you're into racing, looks really good.
Yeah, if you like Formula One, this is your game.
It's from Codemasters. They're not bad.
Nope, they make good racing games.
We got Hero Generations Regen. This is actually a remaster of the 4X roguelike strategy game called Hero Generations. It's coming out on PC August 19th. This game was pretty well received.
This one isn't.
Yeah, this one is... People are kind of upset about this one. So we're finally getting a new Metroid Prime game.
Finally.
Hooray!
Oh, so you thought.
It's an FPS for the 3DS.
Hooray!
It's Metroid Prime Federation Force.
Yay.
It doesn't look that good. Looks like Star Fox, except Star Fox looks way better than this. Star Fox Zero. Yeah, I don't expect this one to review too well. It'll get points for being Nintendo, and that's it.
Yeah. Oh well.
It's coming out August 19th, so Papa gets his new Metroid game that he's been asking for.
He sure does, and he's not even going to
He'll
play
be
it.
so
I bet.
happy.
So.
He'll play this one, I'm sure.
I'm sure he's not upset at all that it's an FPS.
That's a shame.
He'll have to make some time away from Rocket League to
That's
play
a
it.
damn shame. He hasn't been playing a lot of Rocket League lately.
All right, so next up, King of Fighters 14. It's coming out. It's a fighting game.
Yep,
You've never heard of King of Fighters?
Yep, I'm actually looking forward to this a lot.
Never heard of it.
It's actually leaked already. You're gone. You know, the physical copies have leaked. People in my local community have been playing it lately, and I'm looking forward to getting the time to trying it.
I might pick it up if you play it.
Yeah, I'm getting the what do you call it, PS4. I mean, they're probably going to do a PC release eventually, but I'm planning to actually play this pretty seriously as far as fighters go, because it's got my boy back. It's got Geese Howard, minus the pretzels.
Okay.
We talked about the pretzels.
We talked a lot about the pretzel. Yeah. I now know what that is.
So did they seriously reduce the input requirements on all the characters, because they were pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, they basically streamlined it across the board.
Do I still need to do double half circles and then into
You do
some
not.
other nonsense? Some input, pretzel input.
I mean, unless I missed something just based on people playing, it seems like the hardest inputs are basically about the same that you'd have in like Blaze Blue or some other modern fighters, where it's like, you know, like half circle direction is about as complex as it gets.
Well, that's good.
Blaze Blue is like half circle. Yeah, I think it has some half circle back, half circle, quarter circle forward inputs. It's got the worst. And then, of course, the double full circle Tager shit. Yeah, it actually has 3 full circles if you count the astrals.
Well, he said they simplified it, so look forward to this one.
I'd definitely be interested in playing a King of Fighters that was simplified controls, because even the previous one was just way too much for me. Like, I could not do most of the combos in that game just because they were just pretty fucking ridiculous.
I mean, the input or the execution, it's a little bit easier, but it's still pretty much at the high end. But the actual controls themselves are a lot better.
Well, if you guys play this, just make sure some video you guys playing it, man.
I will.
Me kicking everyone's ass.
Yeah, sure. So when's it coming out?
It's coming out August 23rd.
Oh, okay.
That's
That's
for
like
PS4.
right around the corner.
A lot of these games are right around the corner. That's the whole point. They're
That's
upcoming
true.
games.
Well, some of them are a little farther out, I guess.
We got Worms WMD. It's a Worms game.
Team 17's at it again with another version of Worms.
Yet another Worms game.
It's a turn-based strategy game where you blow up other worms. You move them in the map. The map's fully destructible.
Yeah, with there's got to be at least like 100 weapons in there. But
yeah, crazy, just weird weapons like flying sheep that explode.
apparently, in
That's
this
a
one
weird
you can
game.
get like helicopters too, and yeah, they're fun to play.
Yeah, they really are.
I think we did one on a Friday game night.
We sure did. It was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I think the big feature in this one is you can now play full teams of worms, up to 6 players. So you can have 48 worms on the map.
That would
Which is not something you could have before.
Hey, that's a lot.
Yeah, that was always disappointing where you could only, if you had the maximum number of players, you could only have like 4 worms on the map or something small like that.
Well, that's good though. I mean, this one will eventually. I don't know if it comes out in like a 4-pack or a 6-pack. That might be something we do on a Friday game night.
Yeah, I'm for that.
We'll see. I don't know. I've seen a lot of these multiplayer games lately where it makes so much sense for them to release like a 4 or 6 pack on Steam, and they don't. Like I know, like, I want to play Helldivers so bad with you guys, but they still haven't done a 4-pack for that game.
Yeah.
And it's a game that you want 4 people playing.
Yeah, it's a shame.
There's
There's always Broforce.
I have Helldivers. I think it was free on PlayStation. So if you had PlayStation Plus, you know,
That's a very real possibility in the future.
maybe you could use PlayStation Now and play it with me.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Holy shit, guys! Madden's coming out.
Oh my God, John
What?
Madden!
What is football season?
It's Madden
already? Another
time.
Madden game? Oh, how do they plan this?
Football.
It's crazy.
I'm sure this game is going to be absolutely amazing. Okay, moving on.
Yes, moving on.
Inside is getting a PS4 release. We were just talking about that earlier. It's Limbo. It's basically Limbo.
Follow up to Limbo by Playdead. Yep.
But yeah, it's coming out on PS4 and it's already been released on PC and Xbox One. And that's August 23rd for PS4. I don't know. This next game.
I've never heard of this one.
Yeah, it might be all right.
I think it's a video game.
It's a video game. Yeah.
Is this a visual novel?
You
It
know,
sounds like a
it could
Japanese
almost
game.
be a video novel, or yeah, it could almost be a novel. I mean, when you think about the story, yeah, Telltale Deus Ex, that could happen in the future. Oh my God, that might happen in the future.
Oh my God, that would
Wait a second.
be awesome.
Hold the phone.
I think Gray wants to talk about this game.
All right, so Deus Ex Mankind Divided is finally coming out. This one was pushed back a couple of times too, but it's finally hitting the shelves on August 23rd for PS4, PC, and Xbox One. And yeah, so it is a follow-up to Deus Ex Human Revolution in such a way in that it follows the timeline, I guess, but not really the story itself.
Yeah.
Gonna play the same guy, Adam Jensen, right? Is it Adam Jensen?
Yes.
Okay, it is Adam Jensen. And yeah, looking forward to this one. This is like my draft pick of the fucking year. I mean,
Yeah.
I might not pick this one up right away because I got a bunch of things going on at the end of this month, but looking forward to it because I really love the last Deus Ex. Well, I love the first one too, but I love the last one a hell of a lot. So looking forward to jumping back into this.
I think you're gonna make up some ground here on this one. I'm pretty much calling this one like a contender for Game of the Year. It's probably going to get it.
It's a big possibility. It's a big game. I'm hoping that Eidos Montreal really pulls one out of their ass with this one.
Yeah, I think from all news that we've received, they learned from their mistakes from Human Revolution, and they've fixed it and incorporated a lot of elements that people will say that Human Revolution lacked, and they're in this game. Like, this should be the game we all want. Like, this is going to be a huge game.
I hope so.
I think this is going to be the first game we see on the draft that's not upper 90s. Nothing gets upper 90s anymore, but you're going to be low to mid 90s.
Crossing my fingers, man. Crossing my fingers.
So
I would be happy with
the draft, though.
I'd be happy with an 88. Super happy with an 88.
Papa has the first one in there, 93. The first kind of one hitting mid 90s. Uncharted 4.
Yeah, well, that's Uncharted. So, all right, and that's coming out August 23rd. Just to reiterate. So, yeah.
Yep, I'll be getting it. I'll let you guys know how it is.
And last but not least, Valley, an exploration first-person adventure game coming for PS4 and Xbox One on August 24th. So, I was watching this trailer, and apparently you do a lot of running.
It's parkour.
Exploring. Yeah, it's yeah. I don't know. If you like running and exploring, then you'll like this game. I hope it doesn't cost $60.
We talked about this game quite a bit. It's from the maker of Slender Man, and you would never think this would come from the people who made Slender Man, because Slender Man was kind of a shitty game.
So you just explore, right? That's kind of the idea here. Like,
This one,
I don't know.
I'll flat out say this one looks like a shitty game.
it looks really, it looks terrible. I don't know what. That's what I'm saying. I hope it's not $60. Cause
Well, I think there's some interesting stuff going on here with the grappling and everything.
just doesn't look that exciting from a trailer. Maybe it's one of those things you got to experience
I guess.
firsthand.
With your wallet.
Grappling with your wallet, yeah.
This game will get a 95 on Metacritic.
Yeah. I just hope it's $20 because that's about the quality of what I'm looking at here. So
I will laugh when this game scores high.
all right, and that's all of the games that are upcoming between the 15th and 28th this month. And I guess we don't really have. Well, we do have some new draft updates, right? So
Yeah, there's a few.
No Man's Sky just came out. That was the naughtiest pick.
Yeah.
Or core contingency.
I really needed that one to do better than it did.
It's currently at a 70. It's not too shabby.
That is
problem.
That's the PlayStation 4
That's
score.
horrible.
We haven't even seen the PC score yet, and we know the issues they had with the PC launch. So if the reviewers are going to take that into consideration, I'm eating this one.
Yeah, it got like meta bombed.
Yep.
Yeah, it seems.
I don't care. I don't
not
care
so good.
about the the user reviews. It's the critics, and yeah, like Monster says, the scores generally don't go up. So it's 70 right now on the PS4. We haven't seen a PC score yet. It's not going to be pretty.
And we were thinking, this game would be critically acclaimed because all the critics were just busting their load at all the trailers and everything. And no, does not.
Yeah, that leaves me. I've got 3 in the bag still. I've got Planet Coaster. I've got The Last Guardian, which those 2 should release this year. And then I got Squadron 42. And unless we see something spectacularly amazing at Gamescom from Robert Space Industries, I think that one's going to get pushed back to 2017.
Yeah, it's a risk.
It looks like Seaver is going to win this one unless somehow Cuphead doesn't release. That's our only hope.
And
Cuphead got pushed back.
Even then, Seaver has a pretty good chance of beating us.
there wasn't many
It is a
score
pretty high
changes,
average.
really. I mean, it's kind of stayed mostly the same. So
The only changes were Drift got increased the point, so it's now a 59 instead of 58.
oh yay, that's my game pick. So 59, hooray!
Seaver went down a point. Ash's Singularity went down 1 point for some reason. I don't know what's with this game and getting reviews, but it did. 69. I guess I know a Drift changed because it was recently released on PS4.
I see. Well, Ash's Singularity was a target of those AMD demos, so maybe people are just buying it and reviewing it or something. And
I think the only people buying Ashes the Singularity at this point are people using it as a DX12 benchmark.
that might be it.
No,
and then that's the review.
It's the go-to DX12 benchmark game.
Fair. And I saw.
0 Time Dilemma went up 1 point. Yay!
Well, that's a solid 81. So.
I was hoping for more from that game, though.
And the only upcoming game there again is Deus Ex, so that's my pick, first round pick. So I'm hoping that scores really well, boost me up a little bit on the draft here because Yooka-Laylee is already not coming out for me. So I'm gonna make up some ground here.
Yeah, we all have. Well, all of us have 1 fail now, at least. Papa has 2. Except
I have no fails yet.
Naughtiest doesn't really have any fails.
But it's
he's
very
likely.
It's very likely Squadron 42 is going to fail for me.
And there's a chance Planet Coaster might as well.
No, I'm heavily involved in the Planet Coaster Alpha, which is going to go beta very soon. They're on track.
Still might fail.
Oh, that's good.
It might.
Hasn't gotten a solid release date yet.
Dude, honestly, if you guys are wanting a coaster building game, go get in on Planet Coaster. It's so good right now.
I wish I was into that. I used to be into all those building games, and then SimCity ruined my life, and I just pulled out of it after that. I don't know why. I just traumatized.
So I will probably go ahead and update us with the scores the next 2 weeks. So we'll get the scores back up there.
That sounds good.
We'll see what games release dates.
Put them all back in the news article too when I post this up tomorrow. But that's that pretty much wraps it up, huh?
I think that's about that.
All right. Well, thank you guys for coming. That's always a great thing to have a good crew to chat, talk about games, bring you the news and the upcoming stuff. We're going to be back for our 72nd episode on Sunday, 8/28. That's August 28th. In the meantime, if you like what you're listening to, you can follow us right here on Twitch at twitch.tv/GarageWorld and at Twitter at Impact_GamingCM. And also, you can watch all of the podcast episodes post-recording at Impact Gaming Videos on YouTube. So for everyone here at the IGC Podcast, I want to thank you guys for listening. For any of the audience members who might have bounced in and out, heard parts of the show, thank you guys for the support. We love you, all that good stuff. And we will see you in 2 weeks. And in the meantime, game on.